Hello everyone, and this is my review for TNA Impact Wrestling on November 24th, 2016. Well, this show, I'm not going to lie to you, this show was a mixture of good and bad. Because there was good storytelling in there, and then there was a lot of Thanksgiving shenanigans. So basically kind of almost making it kind of not necessary in certain areas. But with that really being said, also the Thanksgiving spots with Matt Hardy and everything on that was pretty good to go along with it. But like I said, for the most part, this show is relatively a very good show to watch. Like, at least matches were matches in their own right were at least entertaining to watch. Though I'm taking a look at most of it here, and there's not too many matches really to begin with. Though the matches that I'm referring to mainly are the EC3 Eli Drake match and the Matt Hardy Brand match to go along with it. And I'll get into those in a little bit, but we'll go off how they started off the show here. They started off the show with Jeff Hardy coming out and basically saying he wanted to reach out to Matt and try to bring him back to his broken state. And he was going to do it by any means necessary. And that meant him challenging the DCC to come out and take like he would take on the DCC 1-on-3 and everything in that sense. They do cut a quick promo saying that there would be a no disqualification match later that night, and then the DCC comes out, starts attacking Jeff, which he eventually gets away from at the end. This brings into the segments that happen in Cameron, North Carolina. Basically final deletion style segments with Matt Hardy setting up for a Thanksgiving ice cream social. Well played. Well played. Basically saying it's like, it was unnecessary to kill a turkey and everything in that sense, so he was going to have ice cream and tangerine style dishes for the guests coming in. And you have this hilarious aspect, and I keep forgetting that they do this nowadays. This hilarious aspect of Vanguard 1 and Senior Benjamin just having conversation. They're just having a conversation with everything. Like, even to the point that, Vanguard 1 has lines for himself. It's like, okay, I get you're a drone and everything, but in this case, you have a line. And as they're talking, and apparently Vanguard 1's drinking lemonade to go along with it. He even said, like, Senior Benjamin even says, like, you drink too much. And you have the freaking drone say, "Don't judge me, bro." I can't be angry at it. It's crazy. It's out there. It makes almost no sense. But actually it makes... In this Twilight Zone universe, which is pretty much what these segments are and what the broken Matt Hardy character is, it's just an episode of the Twilight Zone that's getting stretched out, and it's actually kind of good. So throughout the entire aspect of it as well, you also had the referee that did the final deletion come back in there and try to show him videos and try to jar his memory, and it eventually does lead throughout little snippets here and there of Matt Hardy looking like he was going to get back his memory. Like, he even uses the word obsolete and then kind of pauses for a second and then goes on about his day. He gets hypnotized. He'll get hypnotized by somebody. He would come out as the broken Matt Hardy, and it's like, when you snap your fingers one more time, you'll come back as your true self. And then he goes right back to what he was usually doing to go along with it. But it eventually ends with after after Jeff Hardy's no DQ match with Bram, which was pretty much a pretty good no DQ match, and basically also it was kind of done right in the sense, like, it was a no DQ match. The DCC was going to get involved throughout the entire match. And that's what ended up happening. It wasn't like, one member came down and then they started trotting down there about 10 minutes later. No, they were down there for the entire match and getting involved in the entire match. which was a good way of doing a no disqualification match when you have a group against one person. The group gets involved the entire time. It actually makes a little bit of sense it makes sense in a no DQ match to do that. I get it. You want them to have the one-on-one interaction, but it makes sense to book a group in a no DQ match to be out there. Mm-hmm. I liked it. I liked it in the end. And the ending of the show came where Matt Hardy was talking with Reby in there. They start having an argument, and he goes outside and is like, seven deities, if you really want me this way, send me a sign. And he said it in like a completely abstract type style as well to go along with it. And then he gets struck by lightning. Mm-hmm. Yes, this is where they've gone with this. He's getting struck by lightning now. And this is how he becomes broken once again. So yes, broken Matt Hardy is back. He's no longer the engineer Matt Hardy. He is broken again. He is back, and it should be an interesting way to see where they decide to go with everything, because I think they're doing total non-stop deletion in a couple weeks. So we'll see what that ends out actually entailing. I don't know what that entire thing's gonna be in the end, but I know they're like filming it all on the Hardy compound, and that's pretty much gonna be the episode of Impact. And we'll see where they go with all that. The stuff that we got here, honestly, was it was pretty hilarious and pretty good to go along with it. I was thoroughly entertained. And then again, this is probably one of the main reasons why I get that I actually watch Impact Wrestling nowadays, is for the broken Matt Hardy character and where they go with it. But other than that, before I get into kind of the EC3 stuff as well, you had Trevor Lee, Everett, and Marche Rocket going up against Rockstar Spud and Decay and DJZ, Mandrews, and Braxton Sutter in a Team X Gold thing. I'm still not a big fan of what they're doing here, but they're at least giving this match some kind of emphasis behind it. It wasn't just for that flag in the end. Like, it was for the whole Team X Gold flag, but it was also an aspect that the winning team would get title shots, which would get a title shot at DJZ's X Division title, which meant if DJZ's team won, Mandrews and Braxton Sutter would get title shots down the road. So it kind of meant something in the end. A couple of pretty decent high spots, and this was also an elimination style match to go along with it, but not where one team gets eliminated when one person's eliminated. The entire team had to be eliminated, so almost like Survivor Series style, but with three teams, and each member of the teams have to would have to be eliminated to eliminate the entire team. So things about this match. The eliminations kind of were rapid fire throughout the entire match. It wasn't your typical X Division style. Like, it was fast paced and everything in that sense, but like it was like one elimination after another. Like Abyss gets eliminated from the match by DQing himself. Crazy Steve, I think, gets taken out by Braxton Sutter after they get rid of Mandrews, and then of course eventually Trevor Lee's team gets completely eliminated to go along with it. It was an okay match, but like I said, the eliminations kind of went rapid fire. I think this would have been better if it was like one team going up against one team, and then they were you did that style versus having three teams do this. It was kind of a little convoluted in the end. DJZ and Braxton Sutter happened to be the two people left afterwards. So DJZ, Mandrews, and Sutter's team wins. They keep the Team X Gold flag, and Sutter and Mandrews get X Division title shots. Okay, like I said, put some emphasis behind the match, but again, it's like one of those things. I'm not a big fan of this style. I know they're attempting something different. I'm just not a big fan of it. It's one of those things, like, these guys are really good in the ring and whatnot, and they're trying to give them enough emphasis behind everything. But it's one of those things that, I'm not digging it, or it's not really necessarily building a story here down the road. You also have Allie, Maria, and Laurel Van Ness. They were setting up like this Thanksgiving dinner thing. Obviously, they were putting down Allie throughout the entire aspect of it. And like during the Thanksgiving dinner itself, Allie's in a pilgrim outfit to go along with it. They bring out Braxton Sutter because that's been kind of the thing between Laurel and Allie. Like Allie kind of likes Braxton, so that's their tie into that. Eventually, it leads to, of course, shenanigans. And some pretty good interaction from Michael Bennett as well. They obviously do the typical bit where they're always saying what they're thankful for. And eventually it just leads to a big argument. And, Allie hits Maria, though she was aiming at Laurel, hits Maria with a pie. And great reaction from Maria. And even greater reaction from Michael Bennett. It was too good. You'd have to actually watch it. It's hard to actually explain, but he does do the one spot where he takes a finger and then tastes it, and then he goes in to try to lick the pie off of her face, and if she is having none of it at that time. It was pretty good, pretty good stuff in there. They also. They're setting up everything for Jade and Rosemary. This has been set up through the whole what was Gail Kim's announcement and everything in that sense. But now she has to vacate the Knockouts title, and they're going to have a cage match next week with Jade and Rosemary to determine the new Knockouts champion. And both of them cut promos. Setting up for this cage match next week, and they both delivered a pretty good job of emphasizing the importance of the match and just like the factors, like even though they've only been going at each other a couple weeks, but the factors like, okay, this feels like this needs to be in a cage. In some way, shape, or form. Both of these knockouts both these women want to just tear each other apart. So I felt like both of their promos came off really, really well throughout the entire aspect of the show. Other matches throughout the entire show, before I get into the Eli Drake EC3 thing, was you had the Tribunal going up against Muhammad Shira and Al Snow. Shira and El Snow win by disqualification. This is a good way of trying to maybe get the Tribunal to be over a little bit. The match itself was very heavily in the favor of Muhammad Shira and Al Snow, where the Tribunal just eventually gains the upper hand and then does eventually get themselves disqualified. It was an okay match. It wasn't anything special by any stretch of the imagination, but it does keep that particular storyline going. We'll see where they go with that one. I'm not too particularly into that, but it's giving those guys something to do. You also have Robbie E and Grado, and you thought the gimmick was gone, but guess what comes back? Good old Turkey Suit Challenge. Well, it's not like they ever put AJ Styles or somebody big from their group or from TNA in that suit, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, they put Eric Young and AJ Styles in that suit. I've never liked this gimmick. I've never liked this one. It's one of those bits that it's just kind of throwaway to the show. At least they do it with Grado and Robbie E. The match was meh. Robbie E wins it, and then eventually Grado puts on the turkey suit. And it's like, and the whole aspect, I guess, is supposed to be an embarrassment, but he eventually starts dancing to everything, and everything's hunky-dory again. I'm not a big fan of it. So this brings me into the EC3 Eli Drake stuff throughout the entire night. This was at the end of the first hour of Impact this week. They both were cutting promos throughout the entire throughout the show, talking about the importance of this match, the aspect that EC3 had won his number one contendership, but he's putting it on the line in order to just shut up Eli Drake. So the stipulation is EC3, if Eli Drake wins, he wins EC3's number one contendership that he won in the Fatal 4-Way. But if EC3 wins, Eli Drake cannot talk for the rest of the year. First of all, the trade-off doesn't seem to match, but okay, we'll go with it. Because these two guys put on a really damn good match. For the longest time, I felt like not EC3, but Eli Drake was pretty much an all talk, and his in-ring was kind of suspect. But I'm still not a big fan of his finisher, but that's a story for a different time. But these two worked really well together, and they put on a damn good match. It was a very entertaining one, and you grasp the concept of the importance behind the entire thing between both of these guys. Obviously, EC3 wanted to keep his number one contendership, but also do something that no one else has been able to do, which is shut up Eli Drake to go along with it. And of course, Drake trying to get that number one contendership back after he had cashed in his Feast or Fired, and well, yet again another Feast or Fired where someone fails. Never been a big fan of the Feast or Fired either. To go along with it. Or actually, that wasn't the Feast or Fired. That was the Bound for Gold. That was the Bound for Gold. Which, oh yeah, by the way, both people who cashed that one in have failed. It seems like they do the opposite with what WWE does. Like, you have Money in the Bank, and most people succeed in winning the World Championship. Where in TNA, if you win a Feast or Fired for the world title, you'll more than likely lose. It doesn't always happen, but more than likely you'll lose. Or Bound for Gold as well, because Tyrus had it last year, challenged Drew Galloway, and just lost. So, yeah. Never been a big fan of that. But obviously, in this match, both these guys did a really good job. I just thoroughly enjoyed the match. It was a very good match to go along with everything. And EC3 eventually pulls off the victory. They did do a lot of counters and everything to that sense of finishing moves towards the end, like the 1%er being blocked plenty of times, and Eli Drake even attempting to steal the move as well. But eventually the 1%ers hit, EC3 wins, and now Eli Drake is not allowed to talk for the rest of the year. If they play this one right, it might actually be kind of entertaining. I'm not gonna lie, it could be very entertaining to see what they could try to pull off with Eli Drake not being able to talk throughout the entire for the rest of the year. Could be interesting. You could have a bunch of situations where they try to where people are just like talking to him, and he is like he wants to say something, but he's not allowed. Because I don't know what the other ramification is going to be. Like, maybe it's going to be a ramification if he ends out breaking this code of silence, he gets fired or something in that sense. We'll see where they go with this, but if they do it right, it could be very entertaining. If they do it wrong, it could be jack whatever. So, with that being said, like I said at the beginning of the show, I found most of Impact this week to be fairly entertaining. Not a big fan of certain things like T-Max Gold, the Turkey Suit Challenge, and not a huge fan of things like that. But overall, the show itself I found as a very easy watch, and it's and in the end fairly entertaining. So again, this week's Impact, a relatively good one. So with that being said, that is my review for TNA Impact Wrestling this week. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a great day.